will be better next time I try. And even if I still can't do it, yeah, you know that I'm gonna stick to it. Yes, it's all about going through it, and I'm gonna tell you why. Whoopsie, whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies are what it takes to get better and better every day. Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies, help me look, see, I'm better at this today. Woo! Whoopsies, whoopsie, whoopsie, whoopsies.
I'm a little embarrassed when I look at my drawing compared to this. I'm just not getting anywhere with this. It makes me wanna hide. Aw, don't be embarrassed. Don't hide.
You should have seen mine the first time I tried. It took a lot of whoopsies to look this way.
No one's perfect on their first day. Whoopsie.
Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay.
It's okay. Whoopsies are what it takes to get better and better every day. Whoopsie, 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 whoopsies.
Well, what about this? I want to jump rope, but nope, I just can't do it.
Well, not yet. Come on and practice with me. You'll see there's nothing to it.
Whoa! Whoopsie.
Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies, help me look, see, I'm better at this today. Woo!
It was only a dream, the waves of evil crashing over us. It was only a weak and faithful scream beneath the battlements. I know it's hard to follow before it's too dark. Wake up, my love, please don't give up on me. It's hard. Wake up.
you have done it. You have made it to the end of 100 days of Rootkit. Camera's a little wonky, so I'll fix that here in a second because of our other stream, but we're here. We're right at the end, doing our final project, right? Final project, and that's it. All right. I'm proud of you guys. All right. You guys have learned a lot. You've stuck through it. You've made it this far, and by making it this far, you are well prepped for taking your exam, your practical, and passing them, getting certified, and getting a job, and starting your epic career as a developer, and on top of that, very, very successful. All right. Give you a little applause. All right. Let's get through this last one, shall we? This last one. So this last project is going to be kind of similar to what you could potentially expect on the exam. Some aspects may be a little bit more far-stretched than what the exam will offer, because we're going to go a little bit further, so that way we're showing you a little bit more, kind of giving you a little bit of a tease of things you can keep doing and keep going on and keep going forward. And the only thing that's really going to limit you from now on with your career development is effectively imagination and passion, right? Imagination, passion. Those are the only things that will hold you back. But before we rant more on that, let's go ahead and finish up our intro, shall we? If you don't know, we are Rootkit nonprofit organization here in the US of A. Don't go to college. Don't go to any other boot camp. Doesn't make any sense. We're here, free 99. Maybe we won't be free 99 soon. I don't know. Apparently, people really like it if we charge. All right, makes them think we're better than we currently are, even if we slap a $2 price tag. So we'll figure it out. If you're watching, you get congratulations. Put something in the comments. Put something in the Discord so you can get a waiver to take the exam for free. All right, make sure you do that, because you made it this far already. Get our cert, get a job. It's really that easy. We have our final giveaway going, not on, but it will be on here in a second, all right? I will make the final giveaway post later today, and I'll put in the Discord and let everyone know. We're going to be giving away, I think, 7 different sweaters, all right? To up to 7 different individuals. Right, we're trying to dump inventory right now. So make sure you enter to win. Tell your friends to enter to win. Tell your family to enter to win. Tell everyone to enter to win. Some sweaters. We're gonna be giving away a bunch of stickers. All right, and a bunch of these pins I gotta offload. All right, I got a lot of stuff I want to get rid of. All right, so help me out. All right, help me out. On top of that, if you click on the link in the description or somewhere below in Twitch, all right, we have our donation link for this event. All donations are matched 1-for-1 for the first 10,000 donations, so make sure you donate today. On top of all of that, depending on how much you donate, you can unlock some rewards like our epic stickers, our collab t-shirt, and our epic sweater. So make sure you go do that. And we have pillars along the way, like teaching for 24 hours straight, shaving my head here live on stream, and the one no one wants to see, shaving my beard. We don't need to worry about that one, all right? We don't need to worry about that one. Yes, we are using Edge. We're exploring, mostly because you can't use Bing Chat without using Edge. So we are using this because this is our new replacement to Google. Potentially. It's been pretty great so far for those of you that have been watching along so far. Now, are there any comments, questions, or concerns? Please drop in the chat right now. Additionally, I am in the Discord, so if you are a Patreon or Discord server subscriber, I don't know if premium member is if you're a server subscriber, all right, if you've done this, you can go and jump in the event chat and just ask questions at any time. And if you're a champion, so a volunteer, you get the same perks, all right? We love our volunteers as much as we do our paid supporters, because where does the money go? Hire people, or we have volunteers. We don't need to hire anyone. We don't need money, all right? All right, so let's see here. For progression, We haven't built out any of our level 3 and 4 certs yet. We know what they're going to be. We're just establishing our baselines right now. Those will help you guide your career even further, but it should naturally get kind of, well, it should be the case, but it's not really when you go to your job. It depends on the company you go to. Some surprisingly large amount of companies, you will learn a lot at first, and then you'll feel like you stagnate. Only some of the more AAA companies will actually help you progress forward, and you don't really need any certs after that point, to be honest. All right. The certs are more so an established benchmark. All right. Especially if you hop to a lot of companies, which some devs do throughout their career. They'll do company hopping. Some people will stick it out for a very long time. So we'll see. The most valuable one would be our level 4, which will be project manager based certs. Getting that type of training is very valuable. All right. It's very, very valuable. Stay updated with the news. Subscribe to sites. Follow different influencers. If you don't want to go, searching for stuff yourself, follow influencers. They'll do all the hard labor for you and then tell you everything for free, 99. All right. Follow our dev chat channel. All right. We'll tell you things for free, 99. All right. Follow our shorts. We'll tell you things for free, 99. All right. So that way you can just stay up to date, because it's very, very important that you do. So you can stay on top of things and be a powerful dev and empower whatever company you go to, because you want to make sure they succeed so they give you more money. All right. Unless you're starting yourself, then you want to definitely make sure you succeed whatever venture you start yourself. All right. Let's see here. Go down rabbit holes and always ask questions. Specifically, alternatives, periodically, like every 2 years or whatever. If you use something religiously, go look for alternatives, Google alternatives, and just check out how they are, how they function, etc., etc. And that usually will show you also not just alternatives, but updates. All right. And try to stay updated with stuff. We're going to have an updates kind of pipeline-esque thing, because it's pretty typical for devs to want to use the latest version of a language, but not really do the due diligence to look through the release notes of that language and know the new features that have been updated. So my advice is to try to do that. Look, everyone sometimes, doesn't do that. I'm very guilty of that. All right. But doesn't mean you should, avoid it. You should definitely try to do it as much as possible. So, for your ideas, which we're going to be doing right now and exploring, think far-fetched. Think of something that may be fun, may be challenging, and you have no clue how you're going to do it. Those are the best ones. Those are the best ones, because you're going to force yourself to learn new technology. Right? You're going to have to learn new technology in order to create what you're doing. Or you may be using the same technology you're already used to, but you may have to start thinking about it differently, because you're going to run into roadblocks, right? You're going to run into roadblocks, which is completely fine, right? Completely fine. That's a part of the learning. You should always be running into whoopsies, no matter what level or tier you're on, all the way up to AAA expert, all right? You should be failing still very frequently, all right? Very frequently in expanding your horizons, right? Keep the passion going. Gonna add a GUI to the aimbot. Do it. We intentionally are leaving projects like that in a very basic state, all right? There's a lot that can be done to it. There's a lot I can do to it, but I refuse to, because it's meant for you guys to explore and to take those steps, all right? Take those steps. And I want you guys to, all right? To explore and learn. That's the whole point. Have fun with it, all right? All right. So for our project, we got 2 ways to go with this. And you guys get to choose. All right, you guys get to choose. You want to do a game or an application. Both are going to be following similar progressions. All right, just one's going to be more of game-esque, which we've done lots of games so far, so I don't know if you guys want to see another game, or an actual application, kind of like the Twitter clone that we made. I see 1 vote here for application. Anything else anyone wants to chime in with? All right, chime in with. All right. I'm going to give it another second here to see if anyone else wants to chime in with. But right now it looks like most likely we're going to go with an application here. So let me just pull up this stuff. All right. So for an application, we got a couple choices here that we can do. We can remake kind of a Twitter clone here. We can make a what do you call it? Like a file server-esque application where you can upload stuff. And what was the other one? I'm blanking on it right now. Because we need a client server and a database. The last one was going to be Instagram-like application. We might do the Instagram one. I'll see what you guys want to say. Mostly because for the Instagram one, for the other ones, I want to incorporate some machine learning and AI in all of these. All right, so that way you guys get some exposure to it and see how easy it is to integrate all of them. The only issue is with the other ones, it's easiest just to use OpenAI services, but that kind of costs money. There are some stuff up on Hugging Face we can use. Is this for Python? We will be using 2 different programming languages. One will be Python. The other one, I haven't decided yet. We'll figure it out as we go along. You do not have to do this in Python. You can do this in any language you want. All right. There are packages that are very similar and in other languages, and there's nothing that we're going to be doing that's going to be Python exclusive. So if you want to use another language, go ahead. With the Instagram one, Hugging Face has models. We could also use the YOLO model for doing doing automatic detection of things that are in photos. So that way, we can make some type of search and tagging system based off things that are identified in pictures. So any thoughts on those, or any maybe other ideas that you guys may have that you may want to do for this final application, right? For this final application. If I don't see anything, then we're going to go with the Instagram clone. Can you do on Onyx conversion models at some point? Potentially put that in the Discord, because I'll probably forget that. So just put that in the Discord and at me. All right. So let's go ahead and do an Instagram clone. Now this isn't going to be just a normal default Instagram clone. We're going to do some extra stuff, have some extra features, to kind of make it a little more advanced, a little bit more challenging. And since we're going to do an Instagram clone, we'll definitely use JavaScript as our second language. So that way we can just run some basic web pages, all right, with some JavaScript to query our Python server. Again, the backend does not need to be Python. You can use any language you want. We're going to be using Python because that's kind of the thing we've used this whole time. You can use C. It would be a lot longer if we use C. So when you are wanting to utilize things like machine learning, there's this great site. If I haven't already told you guys, Hugging Face, called Hugging Face. This has been mentioned in other lectures that we've given. That's such a dirty word, not lectures. Events we've held. All right. I highly recommend you guys looking through it. All right, go over to the models tab, and there's lots of models here you can utilize right off the gate. And this is the categories for all of them. And they're constantly adding more stuff. It's pretty much GitHub except for machine learning models. All right. So a lot of them are state of the art, and other ones are going to be as good as you can get without doing your own little twist on it or using a cloud service. But I highly recommend it. So we'll be using some maybe image classification or object detection, most likely object detection. We could use the Facebook resonance stuff. That's a little bit too far. We gotta start with step one. All right, we gotta start with step one. So let's start with step one, shall we? Step one bit at a time. All right, let's go ahead and just make a repo. All right, let's go ahead and make our repo. So that way we can start writing down the layout, how we want to go about this, what we're gonna need, etc., etc., etc. Because every time you start a project, planning comes first. Right, planning comes first. So let's go ahead and go to GitHub. And let's go ahead and create a new repo. All right, in this repo we're going to create, and we'll call this Crunchgram. Crunchgram. I don't know if is that spelled right. I don't know. Oh well, we're moving on. Crunchgram. We're going to add the remead by default, and we are going to be using Python for this one. We're going to be using Python and JavaScript. So we're going to make this more of a monolithic repo. All right. This may or may not be what you want to do yourself later on. Monolithic meaning one big ass repo for everything, right? One big ass repo for everything. It's common still, but not ideal, because usually you want to have two, one for the front end and one for the back end. All right, at least. All right, at least. All right. So now we got our repo here. So let's go ahead and git clone it. So we'll go ahead and grab that, copy, and let's bring up our terminal here. Let's cd to our desktop, and I forgot mine's all messed up because mine's on a different thing. Let's go ahead and just can I open Git terminal? Here we go. And oh, it's in OneDrive. That's what it is. Let's go ahead and do a git clone and paste our link in here. There we go. So now we got our repo all copied up. Then let's go ahead and open this in Visual Studio here. That is not the right one. Yes, trust the author. I want to open folder, desktop, 100 days. Here we go. Perfect. All right. Yay, JavaScript. Hey, you're the first person to say that, all right, in the stream. I ain't saying that. I ain't saying that at all. All right, so thinking. Again, as a dev, you're going to spend most of your time thinking and researching, right? Thinking and researching. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to sit here and we're going to think through what we're going to do. We're going to write a layout. We're going to write how we're going to go about this, what technologies we may want to utilize. And you could also start writing some pseudocode if you would like also. So we know two things. One, we need some type of server. And two, we need some type of website, right? So let's go ahead and write that. We need some type of server, and we need some type of website. Now, the server, we want to be connected to a database because we want to be posting images, text, have potentially a like system, maybe a comment system, a login system. We're going to make a very basic, not like secure login system at all. Let's see here. been spending time converting C++ code to Python. You don't have to convert it. You can use it directly in Python. Just look up how to do C to Python wrappers. So we also need a database. All right, and let me change these to H2 tags instead of H3 or H1. All right. So our website, we have several ways to potentially go about it. We could make the site fully a single page application or a full-on website. Is that the right term for single page application? Hold on. Let me look up the proper definition of single page application. We're supposed to be using Bing, so give me 1 second. Single page application. Because I don't think it actually entitles on a single web document. I don't think it entitles just a, what do you call it? One page though. I think it's just whatever. We're not going to have, the website's going to be fully independent and won't run on a server. We're going to have it so it runs locally. All right. Runs locally, doesn't be required to run on a server or anything, and it won't be connected to the server or the database at all, besides the API calls that we're going to be making. The website we're going to be utilizing for languages. We're going to be utilizing typical JavaScript. We're going to be using HTML, and we're going to be using CSS. All right. For the server, we're going to be using for our language, we're just going to be using Python. And for our database, we're going to be using a SQL database. What the SQL database is doesn't really matter too much. As long as it's a SQL database, it will work. All right, it will work for us. Now, we know packages. We know that we want to make a potential API server. So we could use things like Flask. Flask is not the only thing we could use. There's also something called Fast API that is available. That is a large, has a large following and is an alternative to Flask. Right? Is an alternative to Flask. I haven't used it too much personally, so I don't know. Maybe we'll use it. Maybe that way you guys can watch me kind of struggle with it also. From what I saw, it's pretty easy overall to implement and pretty similar to Flask, right? Pretty similar to Flask. So it's up to you on what you want to utilize here. Fast API. We know we need to connect to the SQL server somehow. All right, how are we going to do that? What package are we going to utilize? Well, this is where we can go about researching this. So Python SQL packages. Now, typically for the, what do you call it? For databases, they will have their own package. So if you're using MySQL, there will be typically a MySQL package you can utilize. If you're using Maria, there's a Maria one. There's also the option for SQL Alchemy, right? SQL Alchemy that you can utilize, which is super nice. If I can please get, man, the documentation for it. I don't remember looking like this. But you can use something like SQL Alchemy, which is really, really nice in unifying your database connections, layouts, and your code. So effectively, it's a almost write once, work everywhere solution. Is this really the documentation? I swear the documentation was different. But effectively it allows you to create your classes like you normally do, and based off of how you create your classes, it will automatically create the databases for you. And whenever you refer to that class and do something on that class, it will automatically update the database for you. So there's pretty much nothing you have to do yourself, because it will do everything for you auto magically, which is really, really nice. So let's go ahead and just write right here. You don't need to know definitively at first what you want to go with. You can, put a bunch of things. This is the part of the brainstorming. You're thinking, all right? You're thinking about what you're gonna do, what you're gonna use. Some things are entertaining. Maybe we want to use Fast API. What are the pros and cons? The pros is it seems pretty modern and gets a lot of adoption. People are really liking it, so it might be better to utilize than Flask. The cons is I haven't used it before. I don't know if you've used it before. That means we are going to spend extra time. How much extra time can you afford? This is all to factor, in. How much time can you afford? Again, time is money. So if you're an employer, every hour of your time, they're paying you for. It's costing them money. All right? It's costing them money. So is that expense worth it? For databases, we know we could use the... what did we install here again? Was it Maria? Database. Yeah, it says Maria's right here. Maria. Oh yeah, command and prompt Maria. So we could utilize the Maria SQL for the database package. I thought we did Postgres. Did we use Postgres? I forget which one we used before. We could use Maria. We could use MySQL. We could also, let me put these all in slashes, MySQL. We could also utilize any database and then just put on the SQL Alchemy. And that would be all handy dandy. And I'm pretty sure I spelled that wrong, but whatever. We're going to continue on. Let's see here. For Cthon, C-types. Yeah. All right. So for our packages also, so let's think. Flask, now we need to utilize potentially machine learning because we're talking about right now we want to be using machine learning to automatically analyze any photos that they upload to this site that we have. Look it over, do XYZ. Something that a lot of people don't think about at first until much later on is, do you want your site child friendly? If people are uploading stuff, specifically images, and you're displaying them, you're going to have to put something in place to make sure it's child friendly. If you have allow for children on your account, or you're not hosting things that are illegal, like revenge porn or child pornography. So how do you stop that? There are services that you can utilize for that. And they're pretty much all machine learning based. So this will kind of give you a teaser on how you would go about, utilizing service, machine learning models yourself, etc., to kind of flag content if needed also. So maybe we'll flag any content that has teddy bears or something in it. So we know we want to utilize either YOLO, and we could utilize something like V8. The thing about YOLO though is it's all about speed. It's not really the most accurate model out there. So we could use something else that's on Hugging Face. All right, so we're gonna write this here. YOLO V8. We could use something from Hugging Face, and Hugging Face itself is a Python package. So we don't need to specify anything from Hugging Face. We can just write Hugging Face. There's also stuff from Facebook like Detectron. I don't know, Detectron 2. I don't know how up to date Detectron 2 is, but we could potentially utilize something like Detectron 2 to do our image analysis. All right, and it allows for a lot of cool tools like segmentation on top of detection, pose, and other various things. So we'll go ahead and throw that on here. How would you figure out these things? Go Googling, go searching, or I guess we're not supposed to say Googling, go Binging. All right, go Bing chat it. Let's ask Bing a question. Let's see what it pulls up. I want to make an application that allows people to upload pictures, but I want to use some machine learning, some pre-trained machine learning model to help identify items in the pictures. There we go. Let's see what Bing says. All right, let's see what Bing says. Because I listed 3 here that we could look into, but you never know. Maybe there's something even better than all 3 of these options that are out there right now. We're not going to be using cloud services because we're going to want to keep this as cheap and free as possible. So they're listing VGG 16, ResNet, and I haven't heard of Inception. So another thing called Inception. So ResNet is very, very popular. There's lots. ResNet is what we saw when we went to Hugging Face. So Hugging Face is kind of the service that you use. Inside of Hugging Face, you can directly use anything that's here. So when we go to models and make this bigger, and we go to object detection, you're going to see here ResNet. Right, that's the ResNet it's talking about. I guess there's some YOLO models in here too. Where is our good old Bing chat? So it linked some articles here, like this Medium article, which is hopefully has more links in here to these other models. So again, this is a way you could go about doing discovery, all right? Because I don't even know what Inception is. VGG, I do know what that is. It's one of the OG ones also, and I'm pretty sure there's VGG models here. VGG. Maybe not. All right. We shall continue. Yeah, Postgres. So that is what we use. Let me see. Postgres. Oh, okay. I guess that is what we use. I totally forgot. Thanks for letting me reminding me. Hugging Face is the best thing going at the minute. YOLO is fast, but Hugging Face better on detection. GPT is so handy. It is. You should utilize it. If you're not utilizing it, you're just putting yourself behind. All right. Use the latest and greatest. All right. It's smart. Work smarter, not harder. All right. You don't get extra points for working harder. Hugging Face is epic. Make sure you go explore it. It's super awesome. It's really super awesome. All right. So we know we want to have APIs. We know we want to be using Hugging Face. You don't need to list built-in packages. All right. You don't need to list built-in packages like random or whatever else you want to use, because we don't need to worry about that. Anything else that we want, because we want to have the server. People will ping out to us. We're interfacing with the database. So we need something to interface with the database. So I guess this should be put here. And this is supposed to say SQL. All right. So this kind of looks like a good rough layout for us right now. I have so many sleepless nights because I love programming. Oh, I feel it. I feel it. And the new wave of AI and AI products that are readily available for relatively cheap costs makes it even worse. All right. And it's only going to get better because as people, I've said it multiple times before, as people, Web3 is not going away. And as people start realizing the pros to Web3, specifically, a lot of the banking systems are starting to inherit it right now, whether you're realizing or not. We posted an article in Dev News for it. That's when it's going to be like overnight where it's like, oh, crap, I need to get on top of this. And that's going to be like another exciting feature. All right. I'm excited for that. Lots of sleepless nights in regards to that coming up. All right. So we kind of got a quick overlay of maybe some of the technologies we want to use. Let's go ahead and spend some time here writing what exactly we want to utilize also. Now, you can write this from scratch, but look, it's 2023, baby. All right, we got GPT on our side, or you can utilize Cohere if you want. All right, which means we can do less writing and have it do it for us. So what are we going to do here? Oh, I just closed it. We're going to pull up a Playground. Make sure there's nothing important here. We're going to pull up Playground. Yeah, it's on Chrome. I'm not going to log on what do you call it? The other one. Let's pull up GPT-4. All right, and let's go ahead and ask it to write it up for us. All right, we're going to tell it initially what we want. All right, so let's see here. Write up a, would it be a, no, this is not a proposal, an overview document for a Instagram-like clone product. Instagram, I guess it just doesn't like it. Clone like clone product. We are gonna utilize Python for the back end with the packages Flask, YOLO V8. I'm just gonna write the first ones for each one of these. Doesn't mean you have to stick to it. And Maria SQL. We will allow for users to log in and post content with and without pictures. When they upload pictures, we will have an automated system for scanning images and extracting details about them. All right, sweet. So that's pretty much the back end. We will be using a SQL database. And for the website, we will have a stand-alone front-end website utilizing JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. All right. It will communicate with the backend only via API calls. All right. Let's see what it writes up for us. I'm going to increase the max length here and go and submit. Beautiful. There we go. As it does its thing, I'm going to go ahead and look at any questions you guys may have right now. Dan from Space says, Playground won't let me use GPT-4. Yes, it's invite only, I guess. Not really invite only. You can go fill out to get early access. So we have early access to it. So that you'll have to go on the waiting list. I don't know when you'll get in. We got in. So we've been utilizing it very heavily here on our upcoming products. Let's see. When I am paid for work, I'll be a member in Rootkit's Discord. Hey, full send, man. That's why we're here just sowing seeds. We're like I've said many times before, our charity is a true charity, all right? We are just losing money like crazy. We're not gaining or making any money from this. We're here just to educate you guys, sow seeds, so hopefully you guys become generous donors later on in your life when you're very successful. All right? You don't need to go to college to become a wealthy, famous dev. You don't. It's an absolute myth, and it's a waste of time. Just don't do it. All right? Just don't do it. All right. It looks like this is just about done. Just checking the chat here to see if anyone else has said anything. All right. Sweet. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So it says overview. I didn't even tell it to put it in like the markup format, and it did it, which is really convenient. Instagram-like clone. This document serves as an overview of our Instagram-like clone product. The goal is to provide a social media platform that allows users to log in, post content without pictures, with or without pictures. That's pretty much exactly what I said. That is exactly what I said. Backend's using Flask, YOLO, Maria. There we go, Maria, and then this is for the front end. Backend will be built Flask, lightweight framework, to extract details. All right, the database solution, perfect. Front end, standalone, user friendly, JavaScript, API calls. Our front end will communicate. All right, authentication, retrieving and submitting POTs, and managing user interactions. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So we can go and grab this, kind of throw that in here, and we can kind of get rid of this part. I'm going to keep it there right now. We're going to regenerate this also because I can't remember the exact prompt right now. I don't think we want an overview document. We want a proposal. I'm pretty sure we want a proposal, not a interview document. So let me go and resubmit that. There we go. This looks more correct to the layout I was looking for. Not the layout particularly, but what it's going to say verbally. So again, utilize these tools. You don't need 4. You can use it with 3.5. It works just fine. It works pretty much the same. Mostly what you want is to kind of get it to generate you a base layout of a document. Don't use it straight up, right? Read through it, alter it, and be more clear, right? So this right here, this is what I was looking for specifically, a project timeline. Because you can't have it automatically make you a project timeline, which is what I want, so we can kind of follow it step by step. But first we're going to review this document, make any adjustments that are needed, because this is not a perfect system. GPT is not perfect. It makes a good amount of mistakes still. Right, so you still got to look through it and make sure everything is good. All right, so who's covering the $37,000 initial cost? Notorious, is that you? All right, 37K. I'm waiting for that donation, buddy. I'll be definitely generous at that point. Agreed. All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and copy this, and well, I guess we can just read it real quick. All right, so proposal social media platform allows users to share their life moments. That's real cute. That's real cute. Through pictures and text. In a similar fashion to Instagram, the platform will be developed using cutting-edge technology. See, this is why. Look. We're nerds. Some of us here that are watching and are going to be devs are going to be great people persons, right? Most of us will not. Great people persons also usually have a very good way of enunciating their sentences and including very nice vocabulary. If you're not that great at it, look, this is going to make it for you, all right? Sexy sounding, right? So make sure you put this on your resume. We're making cutting edge technology, all right, for users to share moments of their life through pictures and text. Utilizing this stack, primary goal, if this project create visual appealing, social media, blah, blah, blah. All right. Scope, user registration, profile. This is beautiful. All right. User registration, profile creation and management. Content posting with and without images, automated image scanning, commenting and likes, user search and friend requests, notifications, responsive web design. We're not going to do responsive web design. API based, technical specs. All right, listed that out perfectly. That's perfect. All right, gathering requirements. We just did this, so we just finished 2 weeks of work. Back-end development. All right, we're going to do 8 weeks of work in the next couple days here in regards to this. The notifications, I don't know. We'll do that as a stretch goal. I don't know if we'll finish that up or not. And then phase 3, front end. All right, so here, make the back end first, then worry about the front end later. All right, you don't need the front end in order to test and make sure the back end works. And then we don't need this budget. So I'm going to remove the budget stuff. Because the last thing you want to do is, go through and clean it up. So we're going to remove the budget stuff. Let's see here, notifications. We're going to say, what just happened here? This is going to be stretch goal. And again, we're going to make all these in a very basic form, right? Very, very basic form. While we go about them, I will tell you guys how you can go about doing them in a more pro or a more correct way or manner. But for now, we're just going to be worrying about the basic way to go about all these. All right. So I'm going to copy all this, and I'm going to replace what we have in our README, because this is much better. All right. And now our project is called Instaclone. And let's change these to, since we're in markup, I'm going to go and change that to this, just to make sure things are nice. All right. Spend time to make things nice. If you don't, so another terminology that if I haven't used it already, we're going to say it right now, tech debt. Tech debt. If you don't do things properly at first, don't take time to document or etc., etc., it's called taking on tech debt, because you have to do it eventually. You have to, in order to keep the speed of everything going forward. So if you don't do that, you're accruing tech debt, which means you're putting yourself in debt to improve things. All right, so we got a pretty good layout here. Are there any questions before we move forward? GPT saves time, but makes so annoying mistakes, but it's a big help. I agree. Sweatshop hours, LMAO, 8 weeks in the first few days. Are you doing a boot camp right now, Dan, or are you watching us? I can't. I'm not quite clear on that. All right. So now this looks nice in here in our actual preview when we look right here. So this is perfect. This is perfect. So it's best to go through these items, rearrange them as you see fit. Rearrange them as you see fit for your project scope or right here for your timeline. I think it laid it out pretty much perfectly. First thing we want to get set up is user registration and log in before we continue on, right? Before we continue on. To get user registration and login working, all right, we got to do a couple things. We got to have a database. So that way we can store users that have registered. And then in that database, they need to have potentially IDs, various other items attached to them. They need to then have functionality to log in. We need an API endpoint for logging in. If they can log in, we should have one for logging out. All right. And that should be a good little first step here. All right. Good little first step. On top of that, we've talked about it a little bit before. And if you've never made a login system, there's something that's really pinnacle to it right now. If you utilize services like OpenAI or any other services, you've heard the term API, and usually you'll hear this thing called an API key, right? API key. What is an API key? It allows you access to an API willy-nilly, right? Willy-nilly. Now that API key is typically the most common format you'll see is this thing called JWT, right? And we're supposed to be using Edge, so let me switch over here real quick. JWT. JWT is made and maintained by Auth0. All right, that it's a company literally just for authentication. So what a JWT is, just a token. All right, a token is just some random gibberish. I believe it's base 64 encoded text. And it holds information about the user, right? It holds information about the user. When you want to use an API, you don't want to be logging in every time and passing your password, your username, other very sensitive information every single time. So instead, you're given typically a token, all right? A little API token that you can utilize that is effectively your username and password all wrapped up together in one little secret code. Except it doesn't have anything to do with your username and password necessarily. So if it was ever leaked or given out, it doesn't matter. Your account is still safe. You can just destroy or replace this with a new token. All right. So it's very easy to generate these. There is a library for Python where we can just automatically generate them. And why I'm bringing this up is when users log in, we want to return them a token. It doesn't have to be a JWT. You can go more basic with it for your example projects, but when you're using or making something for real life, you're going to want to use JWT or services like Auth0. They will generate JWTs for you. All right. And in here, you can see it's color coded. The color coding, this part literally tells you this information. All right. The algorithm and token type. The second part right here is literally this payload data. And the last part is verifying the signature. It uses asymmetric encryption. All right. Asymmetric encryption. If you don't remember what that is, you got to go back and rewatch it because you're going to need to know that to pass the exam for the written part. Asymmetric means there's a private and public key. The private key is kept on the server. The public key is given to everyone and their dog. All right. When you want to verify a signature, basically what you can do is typically on these payloads, a site is included and it will say, hey, to verify me, go to this site. All right. And that's the server I came from. You can verify me there. It will verify by sending the public or sending the encrypted part here and seeing if it can be decrypted properly. If it is, then its site is verified. All right. If that doesn't make too much sense to you, don't really think about it. Just know there are steps you have to take, and it will tell you in the instructions on how to take those steps. Or if you utilize a service like Auth0, which I highly recommend if you don't want to worry about two-factor authentication, XYZ security, users' accounts, losing passwords, being hacked and then losing passwords. Use a service like Auth0. Also, Google and AWS have their own version of login stuff. Effectively, users log in, send these services their username and password. You never see them. You never touch them. It's not your problem. If you get hacked, who cares? That user information, not on your server. All right? You're safe. All right? Their account information is safe. If Auth0 gets hacked, though, a lot of companies are screwed. All right? So you can offload it. We're not going to use them because they do have free plans, which you can utilize, but it's just a lot of setup. So we'll see. I think we'll just use JWT just to show it off to you guys. It's very easy to use, right? It's really very easy to use. All right. Whoops. Let's go ahead and continue here a little bit. I'm just going to check the chat. No, I was referring to you talking about doing the task that GPT was saying was going to take 8 weeks. Oh yeah. If we were going to do this more properly, it might take 8 weeks. I feel like that's pretty generous for all this stuff. But again, it depends on how you're going about it. Because if you want to, do this on a cloud platform and have it scale properly, maybe it will end up taking 8 weeks. It doesn't know how big our team is. Look, just because GPT says one thing doesn't mean it's going to take all that time. But also, we run a sweatshop here, so get back to work. All right. So, let's start here. First thing, let's go and make our main.py. Because there's always going to be a main.py. And let's just get our basic setup. Because right now, we know we want to use user authentication. We know we're supposed to use something potentially like JWT. But we may not know how to use it. Look, one bit at a time, one step at a time. So step number 1, let's just get a Flask server up and running. Is that too much to ask for? Shouldn't be. All right. On top of making your main.py, make a new file called requirements.txt. In here, you should be listing all of the extra repos you're using or packages you're using in Python. So that way, when you share this project with other people, they can automatically import all of those Python packages. If you've set up the aimbot or the New World bot or any of our other bots, you've interacted with this and seen what it does. Maybe you didn't know what it does, but it's basically a Cadillac feature, right? It's so beautiful and sexy. Be using it. It's pretty much standard in every repo you'll find. So we know we want to pip install Flask. we're going to potentially need to pip install Flask cores. This stuff, look, you'll figure it out as you use it, right? I'm kind of giving you guys the cheat codes here. And look at that, we want RESTful also. So we're going to pip install RESTful. That again is Copilot at work. So very nice, very nice. I can't remember if it's a tag or an underscore. I guess we'll figure out here in a second. Let's go ahead and do pip install tag r requirements.txt. And that looks like it worked. All right, so it was with the tag. So that should install everything that we're going to need right now. Cores is for an annoying feature for cross origin requests. All right, I don't know if we'll run, I think we'll run into one of those issues because at localhost compared to 127.0.0.1, that's not the same domains. So it freaks out. Your cores policy basically is who can access your API and from what origin. So what IP address or domain name or et cetera, by default, it kind of locks it down and we want to open it up. All right. RESTful, this is for making APIs, and then Flask is the base thing. So let's go ahead and go in here, and maybe we don't remember how to start a Flask application. If you're using Copilot, if it works, you can do a comment in any language. It doesn't, for any language, any package potentially, and be like, create basic Flask app. Press enter. All right, there we go. Is that it? I think that's about it for us. What else is it trying to? No, okay. So we had it create a basic Flask app here for us. Very nice. Additionally, we could go over, if you don't have Copilot and you don't want to pay for it, that's fine. You have this. This is using GPT-4. Go ahead, create a basic Flask app. For, I guess we should have said for REST API. And let's see what code it generates here for us. I'm just checking the chat also to make sure I'm not missing anything. Perfect. I like this startup that it did better, way better than Copilot. So let's go and grab that. Perfect. This will give us a function called hello world, right? It will be at the root of our server here. When we hit this, which is going to be by default a GET request, it will return this. And since it's a string, that means it's going to render as a full-on HTML page, not as a REST endpoint returning JSON data. Again, if you remember, we have to use lists and dictionaries only to get that type of result. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into a list. So that way it's returning it as JSON data. The last thing is we just need to run this. So let's go ahead and say Flask run. And I think it's going to be, let's do tag H here. I can't remember. Let's just do run. Okay, tag help. Tag help. And we're going to need to utilize, because we need to tell it exactly the file that we want it to run. I think it's just app. Debugger. We definitely want debugger mode, debugger mode on. I think we just say debug mode. Why is it key? Specify key for your certs. Specify. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna say tech app main.py. Why is it doing that? App main.py. What am I forgetting here? I can't believe I'm forgetting this right now. Host, text, debugger, thread, extra files, path. Where's Bing? Help me, Bing Daddy. All right. Run. How to run Flask app from a main.py file. Quite embarrassing. It's all right. All right. Again, I don't expect you guys to know everything. Just know that those things exist. If it works with... No, I swear... Oh, it's right here. Flask tech. Did I put it in the wrong place? Is this supposed to be before? Use Flask tech app main.py. Remove this debug. Flask tech app main.py run tag debug. All right, that works. That works. I don't know why it didn't show up in the help menu. Maybe because that was the help menu for the run options, but whatever. We got it running now, and that's all that matters, right? That's all that matters. So the server is running. It's running on port 5000. If we go to it, because this again is set at the root domain, so once we immediately go to it, we should see, there we go. Let me pull this up into Edge because that's what we're supposed to be using. You'll see that it is working. It is functioning. Congratulations. That is baby step number 1. All right. Again, you're going to do this every single time you make a new project, right? You should be doing this every single time you make a new project. Just sanity checks, right? Sanity, just one little bit at a time. Bit number 1, get a server running, right? We got the server running, and it is break time. We're about at the hour mark, so we're going to go on a 3 to 5 minute break. If you do have questions, please put them into the chat, and we will answer them when we come back from break in 3 to 5 minutes. All right. Once we come back from our break in 3 to 5 minutes here, we're going to go ahead and chug along. We're going to continue with our user authentication. We're going to just make some basic layouts here. We won't be saving anything to the database, so it won't be persistent because we just want to make something and see how far we can get for today and just do some light testing on it. All right, so we're going to continue with our user authentication. All right, so I'll see you guys in 3 to 5 minutes. Alrighty, we're back. Alright, didn't see the mic was muted there. But we're back to continue our epic journey with our final project, alright? We're making an Instagram clone. It's going to be super awesome. We're going to be utilizing things like machine learning, APIs, multiple languages here. Again, you don't need to use JavaScript. We are mostly because we have to, I initially wanted to keep it to a CLI application only, so that way you could utilize whatever language, and it doesn't really matter about rendering things. But we are using JavaScript just because we have images, and we could just display stuff. I guess we don't technically need to use the browser. We could use whatever. As I digress. The point is, we're doing a lot of stuff, a lot of fun stuff. We're doing some stretch goals to kind of show you guys more advanced things that won't be on the exam, won't be on the practical. There a lot of things will be, but some things will not be. It's kind of here to show you what you can do and what you can do here shortly, right? If you keep exploring and journeying forward. Before we move on any further, just a little quick recap. We are Rootkits, a nonprofit here in the US of A. Don't go to college, don't go to any other boot camp. You're already watching, you're already here. Just continue and get certified. It's really that easy. Everything is on a playlist for 100 days. Just continue watching, all right? And we're a nonprofit, so you can donate, all right? Donates today. There's a link in the description, and there's if you're on Twitch, the other link is down below. I guess what I have never mentioned, now I kind of regret it. There are links on our website to donate to us, because this is just an event during 100 Days of Rootkit. After this event, you can still donate to us. I don't know why literally it's only on this main page. Once we leave the main page, then they show up correctly, these icons. There's a lot of stuff here you guys can utilize to help support us. Volunteering is what we want the most. But there is Amazon Smile. If you don't know, Amazon Smile is something you can activate on your account. If you use Amazon for buying stuff, you turn this on, you put in our nonprofit as the one you want to support, and just automatically, as you go about doing normal purchases, Amazon will funnel a certain amount of a percentage of the sales to us. It doesn't cost you anything extra. They're not, upping the price for you. It's literally the exact same thing, but now you're just supporting us passively. So click that link to get Amazon Smile hooked up. Let me see. Amazon Smile is ending. What the hell? All right. Well, I need to check up on that. On top of that, there is Patreon. Of course, the Discord Premium, and there's a donate button, right? That you can go here and directly donate to us, right? And it's all tax deductible. We like Patreon and our Discord Premium members. We might just switch to Discord Premium, so it's just one place. I don't like having it everywhere, and we post pretty much everywhere in the Discord. So you can join. I'm here in the events chat. Join. You don't need to type. You can just use your voice. If you are a volunteer, a Patreon or Discord supporter member, right? All right, let us continue on, shall we? And there will be a giveaway posted later today. We're going to be giving away a lot of merch, all right? All right, so let's go ahead and continue here on our journey. So this is Vanilla Flask. This is great, but I don't personally like Vanilla Flask out of the gate because I don't think it really scales well for making REST endpoints, all right? Making REST endpoints, because you got to do a lot of function names and blah, blah, blah. We added a new thing in here called Flask RESTful, which is meant for RESTful endpoints, which is what we're making. So if we go in Google Flask RESTful, we're going to see there is a slightly different layout that you should be using in your REST applications. So we're going to go to Quick Start. Slightly different layout for our applications when we're using RESTful, right? So there's a new import here. We're just going to go and copy all of this and just paste it over. As you can see, I guess we should do like maybe a before and after here. Let me just push this down so you guys can kind of see the differences. Not too much that is different, right? Not too much is different, just this center part. Instead of using a function and then putting a decorator in front of it on where it's going to go, you just make a object, and this object needs to have a couple of, well, doesn't need to have, but you can basically give it a set amount of methods. A get method will automatically tie it to a get request. A post method will automatically tie it to a post request, etc., etc., etc. So you don't have to do any weird decorators or anything like that. And to add it, all right, to a path, you just need to add this new line, API dot, and API is in reference to this variable that we have right here, dot add resources, and you say the class that you want to add to the endpoint. So it's really, really nice. If we want to make a new request here, we can say def in our post request self, and now we've made a post request. Right now, there's when you hit this, you can do a get request or a post request, and both of them will do hello world. It's very nice, very convenient, specifically when we start doing organization, which we're going to start right off the bat. Right off the bat. All right, so we're going to make a new folder here called libs, because we know we're going to be making a lot of different functionalities, user logins, users in general, etc., etc., etc. So inside here, let's go ahead and make a new file, and let's call this login, right? Login.py, right? So this is where we're going to contain our login code. All right, and looking at this, let's put them side by side so we can kind of see here. Our layout here is going to be hello world, and we need to give it something, a class to inherit from. This resource class, right? It needs to inherit from the resource class in order to give us the functionality that we want. So we can see resources tied to this import statement. So let's go and copy this import statement right here over, and let's go and make a class, and we'll call this class login. Oh, look at that. And we'll just put some generic stuff in there for right now. All right, we don't need to make it complicated because, again, baby steps. If this is your first time using Flask RESTful, don't just go ham. Don't think you need to go ham. Just make something with some default data, default returns, and see if you can get it working. All right, so we're going to remove the hello world here because we don't want that anymore. In our add resource, we want to add this login class we have. So to get access to that, we need to import it. So import libs.login, and in here we can do libs.login dot and then our login class. So now at the root directory of our domain here, it will automatically execute the logic that's a part of the login class. And since we're inheriting from resource, anything that is called a get will be tied to a get request. Anything that's post will be tied to the post request, and any other HTTP request you want to make, you just give it the name of that and it will automatically work for it. We can see this here live in action when we click on save. Since we're in debug mode, it auto refreshed. And let's go ahead and pull up Bing. Let's pull up our API here. Now when we refresh, we won't see hello world anymore. We're going to see login get because we just gave a get request. We just gave a get request, and this is running our login logic now. Maybe we don't want our login logic to be at just at the root. So instead, let's just put /login, right? Makes sense to have /login like that. So now when we go back to our page here and refresh, you're going to see it says not found. That's fine because we changed this to /login. So now when we go to /login, you'll see our logic is over there. So again, same functionality we had before, slightly different layout, and arguably a cleaner layout because now we don't have a bunch of just weird functions with weird names and decorators and blah, 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 blah. It looks just cleaner overall. Any questions on that before we continue forward? All right. That was just a quick run through of Flask RESTful. We're not going to be doing anything too complicated with it besides this, right? At least for right now. Any questions before we chug along? Go ahead and drop your questions. Now, Well, I'm going to start continuing, but go ahead and drop your questions. Now, we've referenced an application on our previous days, right? This application was called Postman. I highly recommend, and by highly, you should do it right now, install Postman. I think you can also use it from your browser, but download, install it right now, because I'm going to start using it. So you should start using it right now. When you start it up, it's going to try to have you log in. There's a very small, in like light gray text, little link towards the bottom that says continue with an account. You can just click that, so you don't need to make an account and handle all that crap. All right. And I'm pretty sure, can you use, I think if you make an account and sign in, you can use it from the browser. All right. When you start up Postman, it's going to look like this. Why we're using Postman is we don't have to. You can write scripts to test all of this automatically, and you should, if you're building out a full-on application, make a testing library. We're not going to be making a testing library right now. That is something that you should definitely explore. Put that on your to-do list, all right, on things to explore. But we're just going to go the easy way right now and utilize Postman. So let me see here. So Postman is going to kind of look like this. Let me make a new collection here real quick. New collection, 100 days. Let me close out of everything else. Close other tabs. And now I gotta click on save changes a million times. Hopefully this doesn't mess everything up. Holy crap, why are there so many tabs? Sorry you guys, I gotta get rid of everything before I pull it over, because there is some sensitive stuff over here. We don't need Credly. Where is the, I just made it 100 days. Where's it at? Here we go, at the very, very top. Perfect. All right, so here's Postman. Can I zoom in on this a little bit? I don't think it will allow me to view zoom in. I swear I just, okay. I'm literally pressing the key combo. You liars. All right, well, I guess I could just do it right here. All right, so this is kind of what it will look like. We want view, zoom in, view, plus, that is control. Oh, wait, do I just do, oh, okay, I don't have to do shift. All right, perfect. So what you want to do is once you make an account or, you know, install it or whatever, this basically automatically does a lot of stuff for you. Over in collections, go and click on that and then click on new. When you click on new, just create a new collection. It's effectively a folder, right? And then just give it a name. I just made one here called 100 days. You could have it called Instagram clone or whatever you want, all right? Now, inside of this collection, you can do a right click or you can click on the dot here and you're gonna get a lot of options. The most important ones here are gonna be add a folder and add requests, all right? It's best to categorize this the same way you have your Python files. And every time you have a file, you should make a folder typically, and then in that folder, you add requests. Requests are things like your GET requests, POST requests, etc., etc. If you're kind of overwhelmed, don't be. It's very simple. Let's go ahead and add a folder. So add a folder. This folder, we're going to call login. All right, this is going to be for testing our login Python scripts, right? So now this is called login. As you can see, it's folder here. Now we're going to add a request. You can click on dot and add a request, or there's this green link or the blue link here you can do to add a request. So we're going to click add a request. This is going to be our requests we can make. So by default, it's going to be a GET request, but when you click on this, you're going to see a massive drop down here, right? Massive drop down here. This is every HTTP request you can make. So if you were curious or you didn't read through the Mozilla page very well, there you go. All right, we got our GET request, post, put the patch, delete, etc., etc., etc. We're only going to be dealing with GET, post, and maybe we'll do a put. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how crazy we get. GET and post, all you really need, right? What are the differences? You can go look that up on your own time. For local development purposes, you can pretty much do anything with any of them. All right. For being proper, you don't want to do anything with any of them. Read the Mozilla page. All right. Read the Mozilla page. How do we take this thing on a nice test drive? All right. On a nice test drive. Real quick, if you want to rename this file, you can do rename here, or you can click on the name here. There's a little pencil, and then rename it. All right. So it's very, very simple. What address do we want to go to? We want to go to localhost port 5000/login. And then we're going to full send it, right? Just press the send button. And you'll see here at the bottom is our results. So it's going to be by default pretty. If we want to see the raw, so pretty will try to auto format it. So it saw that it was JSON data, so it will try to auto format in JSON data. If you want to view the raw version of it, you can click on raw. If it's HTML, you can click on preview or visualize. I can't remember which one it is. You can also see various other things it sent back, like the headers. All right, this is what the server sent back to us. So we know by looking at the headers here, it was a Python server. And it said that what it was sending us was JSON data. That's why it auto-selected JSON here. You can see how long it took in milliseconds, every little item here. It's very, very useful, right? Very, very useful tool because, again, like I said, sending stuff over the wire is very slow, and you want to make sure things are potentially as fast as possible, right? So this kind of, helps out, especially on that. And you can also see the size of your responses. All right. So that post request, because we do have a post request set up here. Very annoying. We have to make Python scripts. We showed that off earlier. Here it's easy. You can click on the drop down, click on post. Here we go. And there we go. We just did a post request and got a result. That simple, right? That simple. So this is why Postman is very, very nice, right? We can switch between things that we want, or we can make new requests here. So we can make a new request here with the same URL. Right, so now one's going to be a GET request, one's going to be a POST request, and we can just run both of them and see, and it labels them right here as POST and GET. All right, so if we had different logic for getting and posting, you can separate them and kind of see them visually. Any questions, comments, or concerns with that quick run through of Postman before we continue on? Because that was a very quick run through of Postman. Wait another couple seconds here to see if there's any questions before we chug along. All right, let's go ahead and chug along here with our development. So we're going to be utilizing Postman to test all of these items. So I'm going to put Postman right here on the side so that way we can quickly access it. So when people log into the site, they will be posting their data, right? They'll be performing a post request, not a get request. All right, and they'll be sending us their username and their password, right? Their username and password. Now, there's a bunch of different ways we can go about accepting this data, but let's just go ahead and accept it as JSON data. Now, the next question you may ask here is, okay, we want to utilize a post request for the login. We want to collect their username and password. How do we go about doing that? How do we get that information? I'm not quite sure. All right, I know this can do post requests, it can receive data. So many questions. There's now two lords and saviors you can go and consult. Google, which is the OG, or Bing, which we are hailing Bing right now. So let's go ahead and go to Bing. Use your AI assistants, damn it. So what we want to know is how we can accept information, JSON information that is sent to us. All right. So Flask RESTful accept JSON data that is sent to us, because we need, again, that username and password they send us. Don't be specific with your search results. Ideally, try to be general, like how I put this here. It's not, you know, how do I accept a username and password? It's how do I get data? How do I accept data? So if we look here, whammo bammo, it prints out some data for us on how we can go about this. So it says we can do this thing called request.getJSON to get the JSON data that is sent to us. Where did this request come from? Well, it's a imported item here in Flask. All right. So let's go ahead and modify our code a little bit. We don't have Flask here, so we need to add that line here. Let me go ahead and copy it, paste it. We don't need Flask, we just need request. So request will magically, you don't need to worry about anything. It will magically get data that the user sends to us, and it will have it stored inside of it. All right. So if we do request dot get, and you can see here is there's get data, right? And there's get JSON. Get JSON will try to convert the data they sent into a potentially a dictionary or an array for us. If they don't send JSON data, then you can just use .data, and that's just going to be bytes. Wait, sorry, it's .get data, and that will just be whatever it ends up being. Let's see. I guess it's going to be bytes data. All right. You can go do some more Googling. There's pretty much a way to handle anything they sent. So we're going to say data equals that, and then we're just going to go and print out what the user sent us. So here in the server, we're just going to print what they sent us, right? We're going to print what they sent us. So if we pull up Postman here, your next question will be, how do we send this data? That's a great question. So first step is, this is a post request. So we need to be on the post item here, right? We need to be on the post item here. I'm going to close these other tabs. All right, we need to be on the post item. So I'm going to call this our post login, just so it's a little bit more clear. And get login. We don't have a get login anymore, so it doesn't really matter as much. In here, you're going to see a couple different tabs underneath the URL. Params are for query parameters. These are things that show up on the URL. How do you know that? If you don't know that, well, just start testing, fill out things, mess with it. Just mess with it. You'll stumble across various different tools that you may find useful later on. What do I mean by mess with it? Well, for in key here, just type in something in the key and type something in the value, and look, this is where it shows up. All right. Parameters, query parameters, that's what they're officially called, will show up in the URL. These are useful for GET requests, because this is the only way you're supposed to send data in a GET request, and various other things. It just kind of depends. Rule of thumb for you right now, if you're not familiar with it, is only use these in GET requests. You're not supposed to send JSON data or any data via the body in a GET request, right? They should be very simple requests with only stuff in the URL. We're not going to be using these. So there's also this toggle button, so you can toggle things on and off. I'm going to toggle that off because we're not going to be using parameters. Authorization, we will be using later on, because when someone logs in, you can handle logging in here through the authorization. So if we go here to like OAuth 1.0, maybe this isn't the one we want. Basic auth. Here we go. Username and password. Right? Username and password, basic authentication. That's what we're setting up right now. There's also this thing called a bearer token, which is what we're going to be setting up here. Bearer token is the JWT. I guess there's a second section here for JWT. I've never really used this. I just use the bearer token. This right now, you can just set to no auth or inherit from parent. We're not going to mess with it right now. Headers are a way for you to set custom HTTP headers when you're making a request, We don't need to do this at all right now. Body. Body is data the user is going to send forward. This can be text, it could be files, it could be anything. Music, movies, right? This is us with full of whatever data we want and sending it on forward. You're going to see there's several different types of data in here, right? Form data would be if you were submitting a form. Your www form URL encoded is URL. It's a form data that's URL encoded, right? Raw is what you're going to typically want most of the time. Binary is if you want to upload a file, aka images, videos, etc., etc. GraphQL is for you to look into. All right, it's basically a different way of doing REST endpoints, because right now we're making REST endpoints. GraphQL is like a new alternative version to it that is really powerful. So it's definitely worth you looking into. We're going to click on raw, and here by default raw is going to be text. We want to change this to JSON. So this is how we can send JSON data to the server. Now if we don't send anything right now and just click on send, all right, so we have nothing in here. We click on send, you're going to see that it's going to say message did not attempt to load JSON data because the request content type was not application JSON. Where did this message come from? It came from the server. As you can see here, the server kind of freaked out a little bit, but eventually it returned a 400 error back to us. Why? Because we didn't even send any JSON data. And it said our content type was not application JSON. Even though we have it set as JSON here, it did not send our, it's not in here right now, our content type to JSON. So if we just put in 2 brackets, this is a basic JSON object. Now if we resend, we're going to see we get a slightly different message. Now this isn't the message I wanted. I want it to error out, and I guess it did not error out. So we can do is, let's say we want to get username and password. So I'm going to print username. I'm going to print password. I'm also just going to print data here. This should now error out on us because I want it to error out. When I send this, you're going to see it errors out and it gives us this whole HTML page. We can click on preview, and I guess visualize doesn't work. So you can click on preview, and when we're in dev or debug mode on the Flask server, it will give us a trace back here where we can see what the issue was. Now the issue was the user, aka those dirty, terrible, terrible users, didn't send us the stuff we required. Users will always mess up, all right? They will always mess up. And we didn't set up our server to kind of handle that gracefully. So that's issue number 1, right? Issue number 1. So what's happening here is we expected a username and a password, and we never sent that. So we need to add a little to-do here. To-do, handle bad data. All right, we'll just leave a little to-do there as a reminder to us later on to get to that. We're not going to do it right now, though. How we can now form this to be maybe more proper, or how we want to go about utilizing it, is we just finish up our JSON data. We say our username, and our username is going to be equal to Bobby B123, all right? And then our password is going to be not a password. Sweet. Forgot the little comma there. Great. Now we have exactly what our server is looking for, a username and a password. This is not the proper way. This is not the proper way. Again, this is not the proper way for you to be sending usernames and passwords. Do not do this in production. This is for you to just make something simple, test, and have fun with it. Do not do this in production. All right, for the love of God. So if we send this now, you'll see we get the normal login post message, and you'll see here that we get the data is printed out, which says username, Bobby, password, not a password, and we print out the username and the password all by themselves and they show up here. We are successfully receiving the data the user sent. Or in the end result, this would be the website sending this to the backend, and we are successfully receiving it. Things are good. Things are good. Additionally, if you don't want to go back and forth looking at what shows up here, and this is proper JSON data, a quick way to cheat a little bit is just have it echo it back. So return the data back, and you can just view it here in Postman. So now when I click on send, you'll see that this data is the exact same as this data because we're kind of echoing back. We're sending data to the server got it and sent it back. So now we don't have to go back and forth between the Python server. We can do a sanity check this way. All right. So this is very, very nice. We are at the beginning of our login steps, right? We're at the beginning of our login steps. So we're successfully getting data. The last thing we want to do is handle bad data. So what we can do here is just wrap this in a try. After that part, let's go ahead and just wrap that in a try. And we're going to try to extract out the username, the password, and there we go. So it knew that the error that we're looking for would be a key error. But again, if you don't know it's supposed to be a key error, you can figure it out by seeing the traceback. It will tell you it's a key error in there, or you can just say exception. All right, you can just say exception. Now, now when they send bad data, we're going to return a message that says bad data, and it will be a 400 request. Again, why is it 400? Look on the Mozilla page. It will tell you that anything in the 400 to 499 range is a user error. This is a user error because the user is supposed to send us a username and password. They did not send us it. The user is at fault. They messed up, so we send a 400 request. If we messed up, we will send, if the server died or messed up or whatever, it will send a 500 request. 500 to 599. That means the server did an oopsie. All right. Now, when we look at this and we send, all right, we're getting that status 200 right here. Everything is A-OK, is good. Let's make it not A-OK. Let's say we only sent the username. Let me change that comma. Now when we send this, now we get our error message. No crazy traceback or anything crazy like that. We get our error message and it says right here 400, and 400 is a common code that is usually associated with a bad request, which is what we did. We did a bad request because we did not send the data that we should have sent. So we're pretty much on the perfect path here for making a login. The last thing we would want to do is maybe make a sign in, because you can't really log in without an account. So we might want to make a sign in here, and we need to figure out how to integrate JWT. All right. This is just baby steps. Again, take small steps. Don't try to tackle too much at once, especially if you've never done this stuff before. You know, just take steps like we did here. We copy and paste some code. We're testing around with it, messing with it, messing around with our new tool, seeing what it gives us back, kind of getting familiar with it. Once we start getting familiar with it and we're comfortable, then we should continue forward. So let's go ahead and are there any questions, comments, or concerns before we continue forward here? Check in the chats right now. Go ahead and ask. We're going to continue forward. We're going to make the sign up real quick. And then we're going to do the login. So that way we can just see both of those done. And then we'll maybe briefly look at JWT, and then we'll continue tomorrow. Any questions? Again, it's all being recorded. It will be on the YouTube video, so go back and re-watch if I'm going too fast, because we are going at a fast pace. We've got a lot to do, all right? A lot to do, a lot to cover, and this is supposed to be a lot for you guys, so you have a lot to chew on and go forward with on your journey. All right. All right. I don't see any questions, so let's go ahead and chug forward. So we know we need a sign in also, right? We need people to be able to sign up. Sorry, not a sign in, a sign up, for our service. So we could make another file here called sign up. But for now, we can just have it in the login process. At least to me, that kind of makes sense. It's kind of a part of the same little process. We could also rename this to authentication. We'll just call it auth. Yes, there we go. We'll just change it to auth because now it, entitles everything a little bit better. Your naming scheme is 100% up to you, but try when you can to use the most understandable naming scheme. All right, I'm not great at names. Sometimes I use a name where later on I'm like, I should have used something else. So just continue practicing. It's something that you're never going to be perfect at. So we have to resolve. I think that just resolved it right there. Excuse me. Oh, I'm dying. So the message it brought up earlier was for automatic refactoring. What does that mean? We changed the name of our file here, but we're importing that file here in main.py. So VS Code automatically went through our code and changed it to reflect our new names. I don't know why it's not showing up. It's only white, but whatever. If it didn't automatically refactor for you, you need to go through and change all the import statements to the new name of the file. And as a sanity check to make sure everything is working after we renamed it, let's go ahead and do our post request. It worked. Perfect. Right? Yeah, it said error, but that's not the point. The point is we hit the endpoint and it worked. We're getting, even though this is also a different message, doesn't matter. It means that we're successfully hitting this. Or else, if we weren't successfully hitting it, we would get a different message like that big HTML file. There we go. We would get a 404, not found. So let's go and continue on. We now need a sign up. So we pretty much copy and paste and do the same thing. All right. One class is going to be called login, and this is going to handle all the login. The other one is going to be sign up, and this is going to handle all the sign up. This will also be a post request because they will give us what username, password, email, whatever you want to collect from them. You'll collect that, and then it needs to be submitted to the database potentially. Again, do not use this in production. You shouldn't really be collecting passwords by really, I mean, you should never be adding passwords directly to a database. They should be in some type of hashed form, ideally. What's even more ideal than that is use a third-party service. They spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars into making authentication services and making sure they're secure, etc., etc. You are not spending that much time for it. So just don't, just don't, all right? Just offload it, all right? A lot of headache, just offload it, all right? Make it someone else's problem. All right, so here we're going to keep kind of the same logic because we do need to get the username and password. What we want to do, though, is put a little to-do here. To-do, add the user to the database, right? So we want to add the user to the database later on. Now, we made the sign-up class, but it's not connected to an endpoint. We have our main.py and the add resource. This is how we can connect things to an endpoint. So if we copy and paste and we make a new duplicate entry here, we're going to change this to sign up. And then we're going to change this one to sign up. So we're using the sign up class. And to make sure this is understandably different, we're going to change our return here to be message user created successfully. And then this one we're going to change to a message that says user logged in successfully. Now this will always show up because we are not actually doing the authentication right now, but that's not the point. The point is we're making our base code. So let's go ahead to Postman and check this out. Now we have this login folder. That's great for testing login. We want to make another folder for testing sign up. So let's go ahead and make a new folder. Call this sign up. And in here, let's go ahead and make a new request. It's going to be for add new user. Post request. We're going to be using the local host 5000 and going to be /sign up. Now, when we run this, we should get that error that says that basically it wanted application JSON data and we did not send it that. So let's go ahead and go to our body here, change it to raw, and change that to JSON data. All right. In here now, we can go ahead and just send in, we need to send that username. And we could just, since we are lazy devs, we go to the other one, we'll copy, then paste it in here. We're missing the password field. So let's go ahead and add password. And then let's go ahead and add some password. There we go. Now we're getting the message that the user was created successfully. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. That's exactly what we wanted. And if we hit the other endpoint, our login, it says our user was logged in successfully. So as a recap, before we finish up today's stream, as a recap, all we've done so far is plan our development. Thinking through what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, the steps we're going to do it. All right, thinking used very lightly because we utilize our AI assistants to do a lot of the thinking for us. After that, we are using Flask. We had to go look into Flask RESTful because we never used it before. We got a base template for the code. We looked at it, saw the layout, kind of implied what we should do to add more, and made a login endpoint and a sign up endpoint. They're almost exactly the same code, all right? One's called login, one's called sign up. They're kind of just there for us. So far, we've just been using them to kind of feel things out, but now we feel kind of comfortable. We've made those two endpoints. They are working. They are successful. Now we know we need to use JWT and we need to connect to this database, which we will get into tomorrow. Before we do that though, we should always try to commit at the end of the day or more frequently than that if possible. And if we do our git status, we are still on the main branch here. So we need to go ahead and git checkout tag B to our dev branch. Right, we're going to create that dev branch, make that dev branch, and let's just go ahead and save all of our changes to the dev branch, right, for right now. Moving forward, we'll make baby branches and do pull requests in. Let's double check our git ignore here to make sure it's ignoring PyCache, which it is. Let's do a git status again. Readme, libs, main, requirements. We want all of these to be added. Perfect. So let's go ahead and do a git add all, a git commit, and let's say just a base Flask RESTful application. Nothing super fancy or crazy. We'll go ahead and push that up. Matthew says, fish on a plate? What is that supposed to mean? Speaking in hieroglyphs right now. Oh, since this is a new branch, we are going to get that. So we're just going to copy and paste. So we're going to push up. And there we go. Absolutely beautiful. All right, we got everything pushed to our dev branch. The last thing for you guys after the stream is mess with this. Particularly, go over to, pull up Bing here. Go Google JWT. All right, jwt.io. Go to the site and go check it out and figure out, there's introduction. Go read the introduction section here. learn about it. I'm pretty sure it will hit on things we didn't even hit yet, because there are concepts called scopes, and you can potentially add other data into your JWT. There is things like expirations, the issuer, audiences. There's a lot of stuff that's in the authentication world that you can go explore, and it takes a little bit to kind of understand it all. Where is ask? Oh, just brings you the board. Where are the documents? Is it here? Do we have to view the repo? There's a bun one. Let's go ahead and do Python. There we go. Python. Let's go ahead and PyJWT is the one that you want. I guess there's an authlib also. You may, check out some of these other ones, like authlib, because if it's a library for authentication, you may be able to switch over this. Again, you don't have to follow what we're doing exactly. You can explore a little bit. I'm going to be using PyJWT, so I definitely recommend checking that out. We're just going to click on View Repo right here. This will take us to the repo for PyJWT. And right here is the usage example, and this is exactly what we want. So jwt.encode basically takes a dictionary of some data and some type of secret key. You can make it up however you want. And then I don't think you have to specify the algorithm, but you could just use the one they have here. And it will output this JWT token, which is going to be your API key that you can use, right? If we copy this, this token here, it looks like gibberish, right? It looks like absolute gibberish, but you will see it includes this data right here. So if we go to jwt.io, and on the front page here, we can paste the encoded data, and you can see right here, bam, we can see what was in there, right? It included the algorithm, so it's a JWT token, and it used the hashing algorithm of 256. What is it? SHA-256, right? We look right here. It's using. I'm pretty sure that's SHA-256. Is H for hash? Don't quote me on this. I'm kind of confused right now. I'm pretty sure it's SHA-256, and you can see our data is right here, right? Our data is right here, and that secret key is used to authenticate it, right? Is used to authenticate it on your server. So when you receive it, you can then authenticate it. So, if you wanted to make a key, you could make one right now. But if you don't know my secret, you can send the key. The key will still be just as readable as this one. But when I go to verify the signature, as you can see, the signature is invalid right now, right? So we can still see the algorithm that was used, the data that's in the payload, aka don't put anything secret in here at all. If you put someone's password in here or any other sensitive information, everyone can potentially view that. All right. The big thing is this. All right. This tells us, since the signature we can't verify right now, it tells us that, yeah, this token was made, but it didn't come from our server because it's not using our secret code for the signature. Right. So let's say your secret code was I like cheese. I think this just messed it up. That just messed it up. Why did you alter the key? Regardless, let me copy this one again. There we go. So it will be invalid. Kind of confused on, gosh, stop doing that. This is what you'll get when it is valid. I don't know why it keeps, because you can see here it's altering the key a little bit. But regardless, the example right here tells you there's a .decode. So .encode, .decode, it's really that easy. When you use .decode, it will tell you whether you're good or not, because you have to enter in the secret, and if the secrets match, you're good. If they don't match, then you know that did not come from your server and someone's trying to exploit you, right? So go explore that, right? Go explore that after the stream, right? And then we'll get into it tomorrow. Any other questions, comments, or concerns before we end today's stream? If you are a Patreon member or a Discord server premium subscriber, whatever this thing is called, all right? If you're a part of this, I will be posting this code in the supporters chat with some documentation, right? So you can just utilize that. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I'm going to hang out for another minute or two to see if there are any, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow, continuing on our epic cloning journey. This is going to be fun, all right? This is going to be fun. We're going to be going at a fast pace like you guys have been seeing, all right? Because we got a lot to do in a little bit of time, and I want to make sure we're programming it as flawlessly as possible, so that way you guys have a good standard. Yeah, we're not doing authentication. Again, we're not doing that part flawlessly because that's a lot of setup. We're going to do everything else, though, pretty flawlessly. So that way you guys can see, you know, can we work on aim for the aim? You are free to do that or collaborate with people on the Discord. I'm not. I got other stuff I'm working on. I have no free time at all. All right. I'm actually looking forward to 100 days ending because I need the extra 2 hours a day back very desperately right now. But if you do make a silent aim version, we can definitely you can definitely give a class on it. We'll let you host a class. We'll host your repo. We'll make videos on it effectively if it is available. All right, because we are community based. So if community members are doing stuff, all right, then we will show it off. We will show it off. There have been additions made to the AI aimbot repo. So now people can upload their alterations, their custom alterations to the code. You have to go check out the repo. So now there's custom models people can upload and custom alterations. So that could be stuff like the Arduino support and et cetera, that you can more easily get to and see. Any other questions? All right, I don't see anything else. So if you guys do have questions, you're rewatching, trying to understand what just happened, post them in 100 days. Post them in 100 days. If you finished the JWT challenge, post your code in here. Show it off. Let me see it. Let me review it. All right. Let me give you my 2 cents on it. All right. Just post. Be interactive. All right. So that also that way there's a log, and I can address the questions immediately on tomorrow's stream. All right. Sweet. That's all I got for you guys today. So I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next one.